Now, she's the woman behind the iconic Prince Andrew interview. Not Emily Maitlis, the person that we often think of, but former Newsnight producer Sam McAlister. The Duke of York hoped the interview would save his image as questions were raised over his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Netflix's new drama Scoop, starring Billie Piper as Sam, takes us behind the scenes of the interview deemed a car crash. And Sam joins us now in the studio. I watched it on Saturday, Sunday morning. It's compelling. The actual interview was compelling. Your reconstruction of the interview is compelling. There are moments in it which are jaw-dropping. The teddy bears on the bed and the dressing down of the maid.
What's the teddy bears on the bed?
Well, Prince Andrew gets very angry in the programme that the precise layout of his soft toys is not to his satisfaction. Goodness knows whether that happened. Also, his belief at the end of the interview is gone well. I mean, are there actually moments in that which we'll all think, really, and they were actually true?
Oh, absolutely. I think probably the two moments you probably think, oh, my gosh, did those happen the most, would be exactly the one you've described, Ed, at the end of the interview, when he should have been looking ashen.
Yeah.
He was looking very pleased with himself. Emily was looking ashen, understandably. You know, we needed to get out of there. And probably the other one, there's a scene in the negotiations where we're in front of Prince Andrew, Princess Beatrice and his private secretary, Amanda Thirsk. And this is very meta, Billie Piper, me, I'm not sure who, to his face, calls him Randy, Andy, and that did happen.
Goodness me. So, oh, crikey. So the interview itself, it looks at the months and months and months of work that you did to try and bring make that interview happen, bring Emily and Prince Andrew together. And it was something that initially perhaps you felt hadn't been made clear when the interview first happened, wasn't it? And then you wrote your book and now there's this programme. Do you feel that there was something wrong in the fact that the work that had been done hadn't been made obvious?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I was very lucky. I had a fantastic editor, Esme Wren. She's played by Romola Garraway. And on the day before the interview aired, she very kindly tweeted, you know, full credit to our indefatigable interview producer for securing this global exclusive. Now, you both work in this industry, and forgive me, that's very rare.
Yeah.
So there was no issue about that at all whatsoever. I was given full credit by my brilliant boss. The issue for me was that I was asked relentlessly for a number of years, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And factually, for that first 12 months, other people involved, you know, later on, I was the only person who knew the answer to that question. And so I thought people would need to know this, you know, it'd be interesting to know. So I thought my mum would read it, maybe my best friend. My mum bought 10 copies. Thanks, Mum. I kind of thought it would end there, but it was going to be, you know, probably go back to an old job again, but just have that moment. So in the future, when people said, how did this happen, there would be 10 copies of the book that my mum left to find out the answer.
To explain it. Because it was a seminal moment. We were talking before the show, weren't we, that the moment when Princess Diana said there were 3 in a marriage, and there have been other moments of big interviews, Frost Nixon, you think of, which feel like a turning point.
Changed things forever.
Changed things forever. I mean, it certainly changed things for Prince Andrew and changed the perception of it. And were you aware, as it was happening, how big it was? And was he?
Well, he definitely was not. But I definitely was. I mean, I was sitting about 15 feet behind him. Yeah. I have 2 parts of my brain. I'm an ex-criminal defence barrister, so my lawyer brain was going, OMG, the prosecution have won the lottery here. Because if those statements were false, they were very easy to disprove. And my journalist brain is going, OMG, we've won the lottery here. So really, it was quite hard to keep a poker face. I don't know how good you guys are. But, you know, 50 minutes of that with those kinds of answers. I was basically looking at the floor a lot, trying not to make eye contact. And it really was an extraordinary experience to hear this avalanche of answers.
And that point you made, you know, the criminal defence barrister, you know, I hadn't realised that you were a trained barrister. But the point is, I guess, if you are a criminal barrister, you're looking for the person in the dock to incriminate themselves, to essentially admit what they've done. And the problem with that interview for him was that it wasn't that the questions were unreasonable or hard, it's just he he incriminated himself from the beginning?
Absolutely, Ed, I agree with you. If you look at the questions, you know, they're very fair. Emily is brilliant and methodical and relentless, but the questions are no gotchas, they're not aggressive, there's nothing kind of like difficult. What's difficult, what's the gotcha, what goes wrong are his terrible answers. So he had a fair chance to say something that might have convinced the court of public opinion, such as it is, that he hadn't done anything, but obviously he went very, very awry.
And the real sadness in the, if you watch it, is that he's advised to do this. He's not advised by you.
To be clear.
Because it's not your job to advise him.
No.
But in that scene, his private secretary, Amanda Thirsk, and his daughter, Beatrice, both tell him to do it, show who you really are, and they're doing it for so the right reasons. And then you then see, certainly Amanda, during the interview, and her face kind of seeing him not reveal the person she wanted the public to see, but instead, you know, the bad answers he gave. I mean, there is a sadness in this?
I think there is a poignancy. I mean, you know yourself, you've been in a position of power. You're surrounded by people who believe in you, usually. And he was lucky to have, you know, a daughter who believed in him and somebody who worked with him who believed in him. And obviously, he disappointed both of them. So there is, I think, a poignancy. But of course, that's natural. You believe in the boss, you believe in your father, and no one ever thinks they're going to do a bad interview. Absolutely, there was a poignancy for those two women because they had done nothing. Holding him to account, and that's what proper journalism is, and our film is an homage to that, is hugely important in any part of the world. But neither of them had done something wrong. So there's always a poignancy for the unintended consequences for those women.
And what about you personally? Because you've gone from, you know, being very much behind the scenes to being #1 on Netflix via your book here in the UK, climbing the charts in the US. I know you've just been in the US, in New York, looking at the success there. Billie Piper plays you, Gillian Anderson plays Emily Maitlis. It must be extraordinary.
I just felt like screaming when you said that. I mean,
I know.
No one gets this. I mean, genuinely, with no side, I just thought, you know, 10 copies and then I'd probably go back to working as a journalist. Yeah. It's taken on a life of its own. To see yourself played by Billie Piper, an icon who's also one of the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, you know, it's pinch yourself. My arms are black and blue.
I bet they are. It's wonderful. And then, though, Emily Maitlis, a rival look at this interview, which shows how big it was, complimentary, is also coming out. Have you seen that? Have you spoken with Emily since this one has come out? Is there a... You know, you say complimentary, that shows that it is all friendly, but it could be seen as rival narratives of a big moment.
I mean, it's fantastic, and obviously this movie is told from my perspective, inevitably, because it's from my book, and Emily's will be from her perspective. It's great there's so much interest, and I'm so sorry to disappoint. I know everyone loves a scrap between women, but no, absolutely none whatsoever. I wish her nothing but happiness and success, and I'm sure she feels the same about me.
So the papers say there's jealousy, there's rivalry, all untrue?
I've never felt jealousy or rivalry in my entire life.
I wasn't saying you were feeling it.
I can only speak for myself.
I wasn't saying you were feeling it. I wasn't. Very revealing answer.
Well, it's great. It's doing so well, and it's always great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.